What's going on, everybody? We've got a 4-game WNBA slate on the board, and there are a few spots where the matchups, the rest situations, and the recent form are pointing us in a pretty clear direction. We're going to break down all the games, so let's keep it moving and get straight to the plays. First game up, Phoenix Mercury at Indiana Fever. And this is one of those games where the matchup already has some extra edge to it, because these two teams just played on Monday. That game got strange late, especially in the fourth quarter, and Indiana came out with the win after one of the wildest games you'll see. But if you watched that first quarter, you saw exactly why the Fever are so hard to trust. They came out flat, shot 2-for-18 in the quarter, 2-for-12 from deep, turned it over 6 times, and scored just 6 points. Then, somehow, they flipped the switch and went on a 68-33 run the rest of the way. That's Indiana in a nutshell. This team has been wildly inconsistent, not just from game to game, but even quarter to quarter. That's why I'm only taking a very slight lean toward the Fever here. I do think playing at Gainbridge Fieldhouse helps them a lot. When Indiana faces adversity, the home crowd gives them a real boost, and I'd expect them to come out with more urgency and less of that first quarter sleepwalking we saw on Monday. But at 8.5, I don't love the number. Betting on their consistency right now is still a scary proposition. So the side for me is a very soft lean toward Indiana. For the total, my best pick is the under. These teams just played and combined for 163 points, and now the total has jumped all the way to 175.5. That feels like a pretty big overcorrection. Indiana has improved defensively, but the bigger issue has been their offensive inconsistency. Phoenix has had its own rough stretches too, so I'm not sure both teams are suddenly going to combine for a big scoring spike here. So if I'm looking at the full game, I'd lean Indiana and the under. For a prop, I like Caitlin Clark over 29.5 points and assists. That line is sitting at -125, and she's been rolling over this number. Over her last 5 games, she's hit it every time, averaging 32.8 points and assists. Over the last 10, she's still at a 60% hit rate, and she's gone over this mark in 6 straight games. She also cleared it in Monday's matchup against Phoenix with 24 points and 9 assists. Her shooting has also been better lately, with 35% from 3 and 50% from the field over the last 5. Phoenix is giving up points and assists at a solid clip, and when you filter specifically to the guard position, that's where the weak spots show up even more. So the prop I like most here is Caitlin Clark over 29.5 points and assists. Next up, Minnesota Lynx against the Washington Mystics. This game tips at 7:30 p.m., with Minnesota laying 7.5 and the total sitting at 167.5. And this is one of those spots where the market may be overreacting hard to what just happened. These two just played on Sunday, and Washington walked into Target Center as a massive 13.5-point underdog and won outright. That was a real shock to the market, no question about it. But the way I look at it, this is still the pros. Any team can catch any other team on the right night. That doesn't mean I'm ready to suddenly treat Washington like the better team. The line dropping all the way down to 7.5 after opening at 6.5 still feels like a major adjustment, but not enough to scare me off Minnesota. This feels like a bounce-back spot for the Lynx. I think they come in focused, especially after getting burned at home. Minnesota has one of the most efficient half-court defenses in the league, and I'd expect Coach Reeve to tighten things up, slow the pace, and make Washington work harder for everything. So my best pick is Minnesota to cover. I also like under 167.5 points. Minnesota can make this game ugly if they want to, and after giving up that upset on Sunday, I'd expect them to lock in defensively and control the pace more. That should force Washington into tougher looks and longer possessions. For the prop, I like Shakira Austin under 12.5 points. The value is starting to shrink, because this line has been dropping, but the trend is still there. She's gone under in 4 of her last 5 games, and she's averaging just 10 points in that stretch. Against Minnesota specifically, she's gone under in the last 3 meetings, including Sunday when she scored just 7 points on 2-for-8 shooting. Her shooting numbers have also dipped lately. Over the season, she's been solid, but in the last 5 games, she's down to 36% from the field and 25% from 3. Minnesota also ranks second in points allowed overall, so that only adds to the case. So for this matchup, I'm on Minnesota, the under, and Shakira Austin under 12.5 points. Next game, Portland Fire at Chicago Sky. And this is a really interesting scheduling spot. Portland has actually won 2 of its last 3 and comes into this one with a 5-day rest advantage. On the other side, Chicago is returning home after playing 3 of its last 4 games on the road, and the Sky are just in a brutal stretch right now. Chicago has dropped 11 of its last 12 games. They've also taken back-to-back heartbreaking 1-point losses to the Liberty and the Wings, and then after that they got blown out by 29 points at Connecticut. So even when they've looked competitive, it hasn't lasted. Portland already beat Chicago earlier this year by 15 points, and that was the season opener for both teams. Since then, the 2 teams have gone in completely different directions. Because of the rest edge in the current form, my best pick is Portland plus the points. Chicago just has to show me more before I can trust them. They've had way too many bad stretches and too many losses to back them with confidence. For the total, I'd probably stay away. Chicago's offense has fallen apart since Rickea Jackson went down, and Portland is inconsistent on both ends. This could get sloppy, but both teams can also go through ugly shooting spells and ugly defensive possessions, so I'm not comfortable forcing a strong total play. If I had to lean anything, it would be the under, but not enough to make it a real play. Last game on the slate, Atlanta Dream at Golden State Valkyries. This has the feel of a classic bounce-back spot for Golden State. The Valkyries are returning home to Valhalla after back-to-back road losses to Minnesota and Las Vegas. That's the same kind of spot they were in a couple weeks ago, and we already saw how they responded then. After losing to Minnesota and Las Vegas last time, they came home and rattled off 4 straight wins. They also have the 1-day rest edge here, which matters. Atlanta, on the other hand, comes in on a 4-game winning streak, so you have to respect that. But if you look a little closer, 2 of those wins came against Toronto and 2 came against a struggling Indiana Fever team. That's not the same level of challenge as what Golden State brings at home. This feels like a letdown spot for Atlanta and a good response spot for Golden State. The Valkyries have only lost by double digits once all season, and after that, they responded with an 18-point blowout in their next game. I think they're live here. So my best pick is Golden State plus the points, and I'd even look at Golden State moneyline. For the total, I lean over 165.5. Atlanta has been red hot offensively, averaging 104 points per game over the last 4 games and going over 103 times during that run. Golden State, though, has the best defense in the league in terms of points allowed, and they also shoot the 3 at a very high level themselves. They put up the most 3-point attempts and hit them at the 2nd highest rate. So you've got Atlanta's scoring surge, Golden State's home energy, and enough shooting on both sides to make the over interesting. For the prop, I like Ryan Howard over 3.5 rebounds. That's been a strong trend. She's hit it in every one of her last 5 games, averaging 5 rebounds in that stretch. Over the last 10, she's still at a 60% hit rate, and over the last 20, she's 12-4-20. Against Golden State, she's also cleared it in both recent matchups, averaging 4.5 rebounds. Golden State has also been vulnerable on rebounds against guard positions, and Howard has done well against bottom 5 rebounding defenses in the past. So for this one, I'm on Golden State, the over, and Ryan Howard over 3.5 rebounds. So that's the board. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who's betting these games tonight. It helps the channel a lot, and it lets me keep bringing you these daily picks and breakdowns. And I'll catch you in the next one.